Hi there, gang. Steve Jensen, Dr. J from the National Sales Academy and Impact Training. Now, you guys in the SAC, it's a special day. The Sales Authority Club has the Sales Authority Club Success Seat. We're just starting this, and what we're doing, we're talking to our members. Now, we're very fortunate in the Sales Authority Club. We've got people that come along on a weekly basis and on a monthly basis where we do training. And what I'm doing is I'm getting all of the guys that are really excelling and putting their things into practice and getting them to share some of the reasons they got started, but what they're achieving. And I'm really excited to talk to my good friend, Jerry Rawadi. And he's actually been a friend, but also he's also one of our members that is in that top 5% of sales professionals that always kicking goals. He always makes every post a winner. So with no further ado, let's introduce the great man. Joey, how are you, mate?
Thanks, Steve. What an introduction. It's good to say hello and meet everyone, of course, on video as well. But yeah, looking forward to this interview today and see whatever I can share to help anyone else looking to either join the SAC or just reach out for any information relating to sales too.
Terrific. Well, what we're trying to do here is everyone sees all of the success tiles I put up, but they sometimes, because we're not getting as belly to belly as much as we'd like because of COVID, I want everyone to be able to meet everybody and say, gee, let's start a conversation. So let's just have a little bit of a Reader's Digest version of how you got involved in sales. What's the story?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So around about 8 years ago, I was a coach, a sporting coach at the time. And I had a pretty good stint as a sporting coach, and I really wanted to start getting amongst business owners. And the reason I wanted to get amongst business owners is because a lot of the people I coached were business owners, and every time they talk about their business and what they were doing in business, it inspired me. So at the time, I didn't really know how to get involved. So one of the first things I did was I started Googling things that I liked. So what were my interests? And at the time, it was automotive. And I just so happened to land a phenomenal opportunity within one of the biggest companies that I've worked for, and that was with Tesla. And so that was the start of my sales journey. So that was that's how I got into it. I sort of put two and two together. I loved working with business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, being a part of that whole ecosystem as such, and then put my passion at the time, which was automotive, and put that together. And that's how I landed my first sales job.
Wow. Look, I must say, getting involved in the automation and so automotive industry is a baptism of fire. So no wonder you're so good at it now, because it's a pretty tough industry. Now, I know you've gone through a number of, let's say, milestones throughout your career. And now you're working with an international firm as one of their leading BDMs. Tell us a little bit about the company and what they do.
Yeah, definitely. So I currently work for AFEX. We're a leading provider, non-banking provider of foreign exchange. So essentially what that means for companies looking to exchange some currency, they're sending money overseas or bringing money into Australia, we help to help them with their currency exchange. So then that particularly might be your importers, your exporters, some private clients of mine, your big corporates that have multi-millions of dollars that they need to be exchanged every single day. Ultimately, that affects their bottom line. So where I come in is to help with optimizing their profits and reducing their cost of goods. And that could be any industry, really, from healthcare to pharmaceuticals to machinery to hospitality. So that's where I come in, and we specialize on reducing those risks associated with currency.
Yeah, well, look, a reduction of risk in currency is a big rock activity, and if you're bringing things from overseas, if you can get the currency at the better rate, it instantly increases their profit. So you help them make more money and reduce their stress, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, look, a little while ago, we were working with another business, and we had a chinwag, and you decided to get involved with the Sales Authority Club. It's something we started a few years ago, and I'd just like you to tell everybody, what was the reason that you reached out and said, let's get started together and start playing at the Sales Authority Club? What was the problem or challenge you had at the time?
Yeah, well, initially at the time, I'd been around other successful salespeople. I'd been around, I had successful sales managers that helped me with my sales. I had colleagues that inspired me to do well in sales. Again, being around entrepreneurs and business owners that were all successful in their own business rights. And then I'd also, read a lot of books. I kept reading, and then at one point I thought to myself, all this reading, all this learning that I've done, there's never been a sort of formal education as such, or a process that I could go and, if I were to teach someone else younger than me, or perhaps a junior, there's never been a formal process in which I could show them the path. And that sort of aligned with my journey, or sort of my goal of eventually becoming a sales director within the next couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of my career. And so I just so happened to bump into, or work with, a very close friend of mine at the time, with a private networking club. And Steve Jensen just so happened to do some phenomenal work for the company. And during that time, I saw some amazing results with what he implemented with that particular business. And in effect, that also helped me produce more sales, become a better leader, communicator, and have better relationships with my clients. So it was pretty much a no-brainer when I actually had to hunt down Steve's contact details. It weren't very hard to find. And I reached out to him, I think I remember, like 4 or 5 times, because I was so excited to see what else I can do, because I just moved into the finance area as well. So I reached out to Steve and I said, hey, mate, look, let's have a chat. I need to have a chat to you. I want to formalize my sales education, but more so because I want to kick some goals. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever sort of been given is to invest in yourself. I know it can sound quite cheesy, but it's true. And maybe I'll share with you guys a little bit later on as to what sort of results I've received so far. But yeah, that's how it all started for me.
I remember the first time we had a chat at that organization, and you had some really good goals then, and the things you put into practice and the things you actually wanted to do. And if you look back to then and what you're doing now, you're actually doing everything. You're living the dream, so to speak, aren't you? It's terrific.
It's quite, it is quite odd. It's only been a short couple of years, not even 12 to 24 months.
Yeah.
And, it hasn't been an easy 12 to 24 months either. This is during COVID as well. Yeah. And ever since our very first conversation, it's just funny how you commit to your goals and you have the right people supporting you. You can get there very quickly, and quite often not quicker than what you originally thought as well. So yeah.
One of the things, guys, I'll just talk about Joey. He can't hear us now. One of the things, this man is a very good professional. He's a communication expert. He's good at what he does. But what he doesn't have an ego. He actually put his hand up for help and say, hey, I've got an idea. What do you think? Now, we have a conversation, but he then makes it his own. That's the key here. He said, okay, but he takes action and he does stuff, but he makes it his own, and not backward and coming forward and saying, hey, look, what help? He asked for help. And this is one of the things the best salespeople in the world actually do. They don't just sit in their own little ethos. They actually go out and ask for help, which segues into the things that I'd like to ask you about. What are 3 parts of the Sales Authority Club that you're having the biggest impact on you and your career and you professionally and personally?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for me that stands out is in my community, in articulating what I'm wanting to say to executives or leadership. So really, the communication and leadership skills that I've learned has been pivotal in the past 12 months. Quite often than not, you want to get a point across in a productive manner that will essentially help the company and yourself and also your colleagues. But more so than not, people don't have the right skills to approach leadership, especially executive leadership. What Steve's really helped me is it's not about per se, what you're saying or even yourself, but it's how you say it and how managers like to hear it. And I think that in itself has been massive. And that's something I struggled with for a long time, because when you get involved within a company, you're there for your career. You care about being amongst that environment, and you're surrounded by your colleagues. And if you've got these ideas, there's certain ways that you have to bring them across so management and leadership take them on board. And that's something that I was never good at. In fact, I was horrible at it, because I'll just say whatever was on my mind, and then I'd go, yep, whatever, I'll just walk away. I've said whatever I needed to say. But look, retrospectively, that never really got me anywhere. And I think it's touching on the point of, ego and being humble. Quite often than not, if you're a passionate individual, you want to get your point across in this way, and you just say it, and that's it. You just leave it at that. But I think what I've really learned, the biggest takeout for me so far is, how to approach it in a strategic way, in a way you can just have a conversation again, where managers understand what you're trying to say. So
Well, I
that's
think
been
you hit the nail right on the head there. It's a skill, and you are very good at putting things into practice. It's a skill, but it's also a strategy. So we could sort of narrow it down a little bit. What's a useful skill or strategy in particular that you've used, that you've found that's been helpful, not just in your sales, but as you said, leadership. And I believe that selling is leadership anyway. So if we could just narrow it down to one skill or strategy, or a skill or strategy that you've used, what would it be?
Yeah, listening. Listen to what's being said. But active listening to what's being said. I think so. Essentially getting all your intelligence before making the next step forward in terms of what you want to do. So plan out before you go into a one-on-one meeting. Pull aside, if it's your manager, before you go into a one-on-one meeting, and one-on-one meeting has to be not in front of a group setting. So you could say that's one thing I learned. Make sure it's one-on-one and not in front of everyone. Have a plan of what questions, have your questions written down so that you can have an effective meeting rather than just, this is what I'm thinking. Have it written down so they can see that you put some research into what you're wanting to ask, and then write down the results. Another thing I found is, although you may have your questions on a piece of paper written down, it also keeps you accountable and your manager accountable to actually answer them, because quite often than not, sometimes they don't know the answers and they might not actually answer your question. So be accountable to the questions you've written down. Write down. So I guess succinctly saying all this, write down your questions, have a one-on-one meeting, not in front of a group setting, and ask questions to the answers.
Yes. Whoa, that's a big rock, guys. Listen to what Joey's just saying. Have a plan. Create the questions. They're called leader questions, aren't they? They're called leader questions, and the questions are usually in a needs analysis or on the telephone. So we have them written down. So you don't just put them in your head. But more importantly, I think you hit the big rock there, is the skill is to ask questions about their answers. And this is 80% to 90% of the sale, isn't it, Joey? Because at the end of the day, we don't know. The question is just a leader. If we don't ask an intelligent question that you've listened to the person, they're usually just going to be to the next question. It becomes an interrogation. And I just remembered a little while ago, you went to a very important meeting and you asked the questions from your needs analysis, and the person started a conversation and you knew what to say. And as you progressively went through that, you tested the temperature. You then did a beautiful handover of trust to one of your colleagues. And then you went through and completed the sale. And it was actually using that model you just spoke about. That was quite profound, wasn't it?
Massive. It's a skill. It's something that it will take time to build. But once you learn it, and by no means have I, perfected this. And there's always room for improvement for me. I mean, and Steve can definitely help me out with that. But it's once you learn a skill like that, it's the value. It's invaluable. It's invaluable. It's not just about your managers, but everyday life. Sometimes you get your way, and it's because it's never about what you want. It's what they want, and position it in a way that they buy into your product, rather than you having to sell. So they're buying because you're asking the right questions.
That's another nugget, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to him. People buy into what your product is giving as the benefit, and always links to a feeling. They're actually buying you and the know, like, and trust. So you've had some significant success with the things you've learned innately and all the stuff that you've been putting into practice over the last 12 months. So if we could actually just pinpoint it, what's some of the things you've achieved, like numbers and percentages or whatever, close rates, show rates, or call to contact, something that the guys could say, oh, I'd like to aspire to something like that. What's some of your numbers that you've achieved?
Yeah, definitely. We take it way back to a couple of years ago. We're talking fastest selling new starter at the time, record breaking new starter, to the point where the company was actually going under. I happened to save it from going under through the sales that were generated. That ended up bringing more sales consultants, which was great, which meant I had a team. That sales consultant is now taken over as a director. I've moved on to the next business. From that business, they had no sales. They had no sales structure. They had no sales manager. They had no sales system. There was no marketing system. So I had to create everything from scratch. What that looked like was LinkedIn. So I was doing a lot of outbound, doing your cold calls. So LinkedIn, I was, outreach, custom tailored outreach messages of 50 every single morning and 50 every single night.
Let's do that. But this is this, guys. How many of these numbers do you do every day? And you said a thing called a BAM, bare ass minimums of there's a certain number and a certain of an outcome.
Okay.
Let the guys know what you do.
Okay. Yeah. So being a role that's quite outbound intensive, there's a system that I follow to ensure that I get a BAM of X amount of meetings every single week, so I can cover the amount of meetings I want to get, and then also my target and my goal that I've set for myself. BAM is the bare minimum as such. So 50 LinkedIn messages every single morning, and 50 LinkedIn messages every single afternoon. So that typically looks like anywhere between 7 and 8 a.m., which is when most people most executives log onto LinkedIn, and tailored messages, because as I'm sure a lot of people may know, LinkedIn can be used really, really well to your advantage, but you can also use it against you when you're just having generic messages. So 50 targeted messages early in the morning, 50 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. And if you're really feeling adventurous and you're not getting enough meetings, you might do the weekends too. It doesn't take much of your time.
So that's 500, 50 in the morning, 50 in the evening. So it's 500 opportunities that you create. And that's what you've said is your parameters. Now, from those, what is your target to actually have, let's say, conversations and book meetings every week?
Yeah. So not just conversations, but qualified conversations, because, before having a qualification process or an official qualifying process, I'd be booking up 10 to 15 meetings every single week with ease. However, after you scrape through that and get it to a qualified prospect where they know you, they like you, they trust you, they're wanting to buy or have some sort of interest in buying your product, I'd be looking at booking 5 of qualified meetings every single week from LinkedIn.
So you got 5 qualified. Now, guys, listen to what Joey's saying here. He's saying that it's no good having lots of booked appointments that don't qualify, because you're then spending a lot of time with people that can't make a decision or haven't got the means to. So cutting qualified leads from the get-go, making sure you have less people, but they're more qualified, means that your closing percentage goes up. And I've noticed that you're getting more qualified leads, and it's making it easy to have conversations. So, and this is some of the reasons you're having so much success. So I'd like to find out, given that you now have got a system in place, and I think it's a goal that you said that it's a system and a process, how's this impacted you personally and also professionally?
Yeah, well, I think, touch base on this about a couple, I think just from before, but for me, it's fast forwarded my progress within my career. Reason being is that I've got an official process in which, I can bring to the table and then literally copy and paste no matter where I go, no matter what industry I go into. The sales process doesn't really change. The activity doesn't change. The qualification process doesn't change. But what does change is obviously the industry. So having that action plan, no matter where I go, it's just the confidence that you have with that. And knowing that it's top class. So
one of the things I've noticed, the businesses you've been to, and Joey's not good at waving his flag here. He's a humble man, but everywhere he goes, he comes up with his ideas and strategies to put them into place. Everyone now gravitates to him. Even the people at the top of the tree ask him, how do we do this? What are we doing? And he's now teaching his bosses what needs to be done. So it's a kudos to you by your implementation.
Okay.
So would you recommend the Sales Authority Club to any professional salesperson or a business owner? And if you think you would, why?
Well, absolutely. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I mean, there's no official training related to proper training where someone like Steve and his team cares so much about your results and the accountability related to it. This is not just, you sit back, you listen to a couple of webinars and that's it. I mean, it's definitely not for you if that's what you want to do, but it's for people that want to take action and if you've got goals, or maybe you don't have goals, but you want to kick your goals, or maybe you need help in writing your goals, he'll help you achieve it. And in regards to referring, there's been so many referrals. I mean, I speak very highly of the NSA and Steve and Impact Training Corporation in my everyday conversations. There's been multiple business owners that I've recommended to his academy and training corporation, and they love it because they not only are they getting the education behind it, but the results. And at the end of the day, it's in a manner that's ethical, that's, you know, doesn't feel like selling. It's quite natural, and the approach is the best I've ever seen, and it's brilliant.
Well, thanks, Joey. I mean, you're a walking placard, my friend. But I wish the sales professional were listening to what you're saying, because it's not about, as you said, listening to videos and stuff. It's about what you do, and you're actually a doer, and that's why in the top 5%. I'd love to spruik you all around the world, because at the end of the day, whoever has you in their business is going to succeed. And isn't it interesting? You go anywhere in the world, if you can go into a business and say, I can help you make more money for your company, you're going to be aptly employed. So, and you've actually a person that's walked the talk in this area. So with that in mind, I'd love to find out a little bit about you, and what's your biggest success in sales? You know, was it the number of sales? Was it a gross value, or was it a yearly turnover? What was your biggest result in sales?
Yeah, the biggest result was the biggest result that I can think of, other than just a sale, if you're thinking a transactional sale, was in a promotion of my role.
So when you say that word, promotion of the role, what does that mean? So getting progression in your
career
company?
Yeah.
So going from a consultant up to a leader, and then a manager, and driving the company. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, 3 promotions within the space of 8 months. I mean, if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what does. So yeah, 3 promotions within the 8 to 9 months during COVID. So, and that resulted in an increase. Obviously, naturally, that comes with an increase in salary, but also learnings that you'll get with the company when you jump on with a new company, and the people that you're surrounded by, and the quality of your colleagues, and the quality of the company. So now, within 8 months, lucky enough to now work for a Fortune 1000 company.
So I'm going to ask you here, guys, I want you to get your pen out, write this down. Joey, how did you achieve that? What did you actually do to be the person that got that promotion, higher salaries because of what was the thing what did you do? How did you get those promotions, and how did you get that kudos to have that happen?
It's a hard one to directly answer, because it's a multitude of things that you need to do. You know, it's asking the right questions. It's about doing the right activity. It's about implementing what you're learning. It's about having the right people around you, and talking to the right people as well. It's taking action on what you're trying to do. It's about having your goals written down, so you have a clear roadmap, and don't let adversity sort of get in your way as such.
What I'm hearing here, mate, is actually, and I keep saying it, and I want people to hear me, you're a doer. You learn something and you do it, and then you implement. But I love the word you just used, roadmap. So now you actually have really got it, and you've got it in abundance. You have to have a system. You then have to have a process, and then you got to do the practice and implement the skill sets. Now, all of those things are what you do. So it's no wonder, and I have a saying, do before you become. And you go to a business, you do these things, and all of a sudden you've become the leader, and then they ask you to be the leader. And I think that's one of your biggest attributes. You walk the talk. So if you were to go back and say, I'm going to talk to my younger self. So we've got Joey here. We're going to go back in the past and say, what's one absolute piece of information that you would tell your younger self to prepare him for his journey?
Yeah. If I were to look back over the past 6-8 years of my career, so if I knew what I'd now known at such an earlier age, I could potentially have been in a higher position. So I think that comes back down to investing in yourself. And again, I know it sounds quite cliche and cheesy, but I mean, before that, I mean, I'd spent tens of thousands of dollars on cars, and that was great. But I mean, the return on that investment was very little. And I had all the nice cars, you know, as you would from, you know, you're 18 to 24, 25. But you know, what really started to change was investing in my learning and my development. And the return on investment has been better than any investment that I've ever made, whether that be stocks or property, or because no one can take that away from you. And once again, it's something you can take with you wherever you go around the world. And so, yeah, if I look back, talking to my younger self, it would be to invest in myself very earlier on.
Okay, I'm going to be specific. You know, I'm a little bit of specific buff here.
Sure.
Younger self, I want you to invest in yourself. He said, yeah, sure. So if you were to have one specific skill and you'd want something that you'd say, young Joey, I want you to learn this skill. I want you to do these things.
Sure.
What would it be? And to help them shorten the success barometer, or maybe avoid a problem that they could maybe eliminate in their life as of now, what would it be?
I wish I knew what I now know, which is the specifics. I mean, if you want to know the specifics and invest in yourself, it with Steve, it'd be with a course such as Steve's. So building commonality, learning the 4 W's and the H, qualifying a lead, knowing they like you, trust you, and want to buy from you, having an interest in your product, asking answers to the questions, articulating and communicating what you want to say in a manner that doesn't offend management.
Yes, it's sometimes we've got to say the right thing to get what you want. So everything's a sale or a communication, isn't it? When you're talking to the boss, you want to get the outcome, so it's actually getting a decision, not a sale, but it's just getting a decision. And I think that's a nice little a process for people to actually learn early in life. It would be great if they knew those things when they were younger. So,
yes.
Wrapping up shortly, I'd love you to tell the guys and girls out there, what's one thing that a sales professional must do? Just one must do and another don't do. So let's start with the must do.
At the end of the day, you know, it's quite simple. You got to talk to people.
Yes, I love it.
That is the biggest thing that you got to do. It's talk to people, and ideally the right people. Although that's not always the case, you got to talk to people.
That's music to me. This is why this man's so successful. You'll see more people, make more sales, but talk to the right people. So it's so easy to say, but people just say, I'm not making sales. They're not talking to anybody. They're just sending out lots of emails or doing posts on Facebook, and they're not having any conversation. So guys, take nothing away from today. Listen to what Joey's saying. Just talk to more people and the right people, as he said. Okay, I don't do. What must we avoid doing? Just don't do it.
Yeah. Don't be complacent.
Oh.
Complacency. And again, you'll see it quite often in the industry. It doesn't matter really whether the sales or any other industry, but complacency is really the enemy, in my opinion. You may achieve a goal, you might get that promotion, but then what you do with it is another thing as well. And then what's the goal you set after that? Because you may achieve the goal, you put in all the hard work, but then you just sit there and you don't do anything about it. You think that's it. And I think that's the worst thing that could ever happen to anyone is being complacent.
That's actually very wise words. Guys, listen to what Joey's saying here. That's a big rock. You know, see more people, the right people, and avoid complacency, because it happens all the time. You're spot on. All right, a couple of things before we wrap it up. In your career, it's been quite illustrious. What's the biggest challenge you had, and the learning that you got from that big challenge or the thing that went wrong?
Yeah, I think quite often than not, we want to talk about our product, we want to talk about ourselves and why it's good for that particular person. But one thing I learned, thankfully, earlier on, was it's never about us. It's never about our product. It's never about what we like, but it's about them. It's about what they like. It's about how we can help them. It's the problem we can solve for them and how they will benefit.
So what was one specific challenge or problem that you were doing that was maybe became unstuck, crucified a sale, maybe lost a big opportunity? And what was the learning from it?
Sure. I never discovered what was their pain point. And by talking about yourself, how can you discover how you want to help the prospect? So, as Steve says, fix the big problem, get the big bucks. And, I wasn't fixing any problems when I was talking about myself. So ask questions, qualify, make sure you understand the big problem before you can take the sale to the next step, or the process into the next steps.
Great advice, because you're right. Get permission to find a problem. And if you don't, you just start talking about yourself and the product, and there's no reason to move forward. Bingo. All right. Last question. And I really just put some absolute words of wisdom today. And no wonder if you had the success you have had. A big rock piece of advice for a budding new sales professional or a seasoned veteran. Now, I know not complacency and see more people. It's the last word of wisdom that we're going to ask from you. So everyone's going to be listening here right now, and they're going to say, if I wanted to be a successful sales professional, and if I was to change one thing or put something into practice, specifically, what would it be? If you were just to talk to anybody, it was your son, it was your daughter, it was someone that you really cared about, what would you tell them to do?
That's a tough one again, because there's so many you can do. But I mean, one of the biggest ones I would say is surround yourself by the best salespeople.
Surround yourself with the people. Yes, look.
By the best people that you know.
We could talk about this for hours. You're absolutely spot. This is great, guys. You're the multiple of the 5 to 10 people you spend most times with. And this is terrific advice, Joey. And you certainly have got a wonderful group of people that you surround yourself with. You're always with the high rollers, and they give you advice as well. So absolutely delightful talking to you today. It's it's inspirational, I must say. You're on a great journey over the next 2 to 3 years, and I'm sure people would love to sort of follow you and maybe talk to you and maybe get some advice from you, because you're such a giver. So how can people get in contact with you or your company? Firstly, that's how can they find Joey?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn. So it's just Joseph Rawadi. Feel free to send me a connection.
Spell the surname so everyone knows. Just nice and slow.
Yep. So Rawadi.
Right.
And you'll see me there on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect and message me. I'm happy to help. Alternatively, I'm happy for anyone to pick up the phone and call me as well. So if you like, I can share my number here, Steve, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure. Go for your life, mate.
Sure. So if they want to give me a buzz, it's just on 0401 423 616, or even just an email, which is Joseph, JOSEPH Rawadi, RAWADI @gmail.com. So yeah, feel free to flick me through an email, call me, get on LinkedIn. Always happy to have a chat, whether it's just over a cup of coffee or if there's anything I can help. Always happy to help. No problems at all.
We've helped so many people in your journey. I mean, remember we're talking about some of those seasoned veterans coming to you and asking for help, and the help you gave them, and it just took them to a different place of success. So, look, thanks so much. You're a busy man, even though we're in lockdown at this point of time. You've got lots of things happening, not sitting on your hands. We had a good conversation yesterday, and you're ready to rock and roll. Absolutely. So, thanks so much for spending the time. It's actually been delightful and really valuable. So, thank you, Joey. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Steve. Thanks so much for your time. And looking to keep doing the damage, as you say.
Absolutely. Hey, guys, wasn't that awesome? You got a man that's actually taken a bit of a journey, put a lot of things into practice. He's helped lots of other people get success. And guess what? Help more people get what they want, and you'll get what you want. Well, this is our SAC success seat. And wasn't it great to start off with Joey? What a successful man he is. Now reach out with him. I'll actually put it in the copy if you want to reach out to Joey, and he'll help you do the damage. All right, gang. Well, stay tuned. We're going to have lots of people coming onto the SAC success seat. Reach out. Let's make our community strong. And for those that are not in the community that see it elsewhere, reach out to the guys. These guys are superstars in their own right. So I'm Dr. J, Steve Jensen, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.